Today's Mishna Brura, chapters 50 and 51, Ta'am, the reason, Lama, why we say, Mishnat Ezimukoman, the Mishnah of what is the place, so where are the offerings offered. So there's a Mishnah, you'll see it in the Siddur, that many have the custom of saying, where they mention every place that the different offerings were offered. Kav'u lishnot achar Parshat HaTamid, Perek Ezimukoman, uvraita the Rebbe Yishmael. They set or established. To lishnot comes from the word Mishna, to repeat or to study. Achar Parshat HaTamid, after the continual offering, the second continual offering, Perek, the chapter of Ezu Mokoman, what is the place of the offerings, Uvraita, and the Braita. Now, Braita doesn't really have a translation. Basically, what Braita means is appendix to the Mishnah. You have the Mishnah, 6 of the books of the Mishnah, and every other piece of Mishnayatic material is considered a Braita. The Rebbe Yishmael, the Braita of Rebbe Yishmael, which is the 13 midot, the 13 rules for understanding the Torah, kedei, in order, she yizkeh, that he will merit, kol adam, every person, lilmod b'chol yom, mikra, mishnah, u'gemara, to learn every day. Mikra means like Tanakh, mikra, Mishnah is Mishnah, and Gemara. The Braita of Rebbe Yishmael, the Braita of Rebbe Yishmael, have bimkom Gemara, is bimkom, in the place of Gemara. Because it's not Mishnah, so anything that is around the Mishnah is Gemara. Sheha Midrash ka Gemara, because Midrash, what they call exegesis, is understanding how one piece comes out from another, is like Gemara. And then chapter number 51, Dinei Tefillah min Baruch She'amar Yishtabach, the laws of davening from Baruch She'amar until Yishtabach. Omrim, we say Baruch She'amar, the prayer of Baruch She'amar, Kodem Psukei de Zimra, before Psukei de Zimra. Psukei verses, Zimra literally song. There's different explanation before the verses of song. That's the Ashrei and the Hallelujahs and all of that. We say Baruch She'amar before Psukei de Zimra, V'yishtabach la'achareihem, and we say Yishtabach after the Psukei de Zimra. Im siyem Baruch She'amar kodem shesiyem hachazan, if you finish Baruch She'amar before he concludes, finish siyem. If you conclude Baruch She'amar before the Chazan concludes it, one you answer acharav, after him, Amen. The idea is that if you're not finished, so then you're still in the middle of a bracha. Baruch She'amar is a bracha, so you can't answer Amen to his bracha while you're in the middle of your bracha. Achar yishtabach, after yishtabach, yachol la'anot Amen. Achar birkat atzmo, you can answer Amen after your own bracha. So when you've said yishtabach and you end it, you melech kelchei ha'olamim, Amen. Like that, like we do with Bonei Barachamav Yerushalayim in the benching. Alright, Mishnah Brura says, Kav'u lishnot, so they set that we should learn the Ezer Mekoman. Yesh Mekomot, there are places, She'ein omrim Ezer Mekoman, B'veit ha'avel, that do not say Ezer Mekoman, this chapter on the sacrifices, in a house of mourning, in other words, in a shiva house. Mipnei she'asur b'talmud Torah, since it is forbidden with the study of Torah. V'ein ze nachon, this is not correct. Shekol shu seder hayom, whatever is part of the order of the day, ein bo mishum talmud Torah le'avel. There is not in it because of learning Torah for the mourner. So in other words, it's not considered like a problem of mourners Torah study. Dalet, as you will see in chapter number 554, section 4. Shea Midrash ka Gemara, because Midrash is like Gemara. Uvacharu b'vraita, and they chose this Braita, mibnei shu tchilat Torat Kohanim, since it is the beginning of Torat Kohanim. Shuhu rosh lakol parashat hakorbanot, which is the beginning of all of the sections of Korbanot. Kava'uha, they set it. Eitzel, by HaKorbanot, the Korbanot. V'chein bacharu b'mishnat Ezer Mekoman, v'kavu achar tamid. So too, they chose the Mishnah of Ezem Kuman, and they set it after the Tamid, Mishum Shene'amar, since, because it is said, Uvachol Makom Muktar Umugash Lishmi, in every place that it is burnt up in smoke, and Mugash, brought close, Lehagish, to approach. Every place that it is brought close, Lishmi, for my name. Is it so? V'chi, is it so? That in every place they burn up in smoke and bring the offerings close to Hashem. You can only do that in the temple. Ella, rather. Elu, these are Talmidei Chachamim, the Torah scholars, she'oskim behilchot avodah, that are engaged in the laws of avodah, of the service of the temple. B'chol yom, every day. B'chol makom shahem, every place that they are. Ma'ale ani aleihem, I consider it. Ma'ale literally means to elevate, to raise it up, but it means I consider it aleihem, on them, ki ilu maktirinu magishin lishmi, as if they are burning up in smoke and bringing it close for my name. V'od, furthermore, mibnei shebeperek zeh, also since in this chapter, ein bo machloket, there is no argument. Vu Mishna Brura la Moshe misinai, and it is a clear teaching. So Mishna means Mishna, but what it really means is teaching. Brura, clear. Now you understand why he called this book the Mishnah Brura, the clear teaching, because he tells you what to do. He tells you the bottom line. There is no argument in this chapter, and it is a clear teaching to Moshe from Sinai. Almost every chapter in Pirkei Avot has at least, in the Mishnah, has at least one argument, but here we don't find any arguments. However, it does not, reading this chapter and this brighter, does not ole, ma'ale, considered, elevated, to lelimud Mishnah, for learning Mishnah or Talmud, and Talmud is the same as Gemara, ele lemisha mevin, except for somebody who understands. In other words, if you are reading it by rote, so then it doesn't really count as reading it. It's just, it doesn't really count as learning it. That's just reading it. Aval lemisha eino mevin, but somebody who does not understand, tzarich lemodu lahavin, he needs to learn it and understand it. She'im lo kain, if not so, eino nechshav lelimud, it's not considered limud. The dafka, because particularly only dafka. But tefillah, when it comes to davening, af she'eino mevin, even if he does not understand, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, the Holy One, blessed is He, Yodea Kavanato, knows His intention. I'm davening and I don't know what the words mean, but I'm trying to talk to God. So trying to talk to God is talking to God. Aval imomer ha-Mishnah va-Braita, but if I'm saying Mishnah and Braita, ve'eno mevin, and I don't understand it, eno nikra limud, I'm not learning. If you learn it but you haven't learned anything, that isn't learning. Uvefrat ame ha'aratzot, and especially am ha'aretz is somebody who's unlearned people. Tzarich sheyavinu ha'perish, need to understand the explanation. Kedei sheyetzu b'zeh yadei limud mikra u'mishna u'gemara, in order that they will yetzu yadei, they will fulfill their obligation of learning Mikra, Mishnah, and Gemara. A person needs to learn every single day. Say if you're going to a shir and you're learning Mishnah Brura and all of that, okay, so it helps. But if you're not having that, so then you need something, and that's why they set it in the Siddur, and that's the opportunity that we have. Katav Shlach, the Shnei Luchot Brit wrote, Mikra, Mishnah, Gemara, Shetzarech Adam Nilmod B'chol Yom. Sorry. Keshe Omer Ezem HaKoman, the Shlah says when you say this Ezem HaKoman, O Bamim Adlikin, or Pitam HaKatoret, or when we say Bamim Adlikin on Friday night, or Pitam HaKatoret, which we say after Musaf on a Shabbos day, Yase Kol Nigunda Mishnayot. You should do the sound of the tune of the Mishnah. You should do it with the Mishnah tune. Take a look there. What exactly the Mishnah tune is, I don't know. Is it the Gemara tune of Amar, Abaye says? Is that the Mishnah tune also? I don't know. I would be interested to hear. Baruch She'amar. Baruch She'amar is the opening bracket, so to speak, of the Psukat Zimra. Shevach Zeh, this praise. Blessed is he who spoke and the world came into being. Tikenuhu Anshe Knesset Hagadola was established. They established it. The Anshe Knesset Hagadola, the men of the great assembly. The Knesset in Israel is named after the Knesset Hagadolah. Al Yedei Pitka, through a note. The Nafal min Shamaya, when you put a note on the western wall, that's a Pitka. That fell from Shmaya, Shamayim, from heaven. Umatza'uhu katuv bo, and they found written in it. V'yesh bo shmonim v'sheva tevot. So they found Baruch She'amar written in this note that came from heaven, the basic structure of Baruch She'amar, from which they expanded and elaborated the entire thing. V'yesh bo shmonim v'sheva tevot. It has 87 words. Teva is a word. V'simano rosh'o ketem paz. And the way to remember it, on his head is a crown of pure gold. Paz means pure gold. So Paz also has the gematria, the numerical value of 87. So Baruch She'amar is like Paz, is like pure gold. Rotzalamar, this means to say, Rosh HaTfilah, the head of the Tfilah, Hu bracha shel shmona v'sheva tevot, is a blessing of 87 words. Alkain ein ligroa, therefore do not diminish, detract, diminish is better. Therefore do not diminish, v'lo lo hosif, and do not add, al shmonim v'sheva tevot, these 87 words. In other words, so some great poet will say, I'd like to add another line. V'nachon, it is correct, so l'omra mu'umad, to say it standing. V'afilu b'yechidi, even alone, even if you're all by yourself, it is correct to say Baruch She'amar standing. Now the Mishnah Brura doesn't say why. I've seen it mentioned because it's a prayer of elevation. It's an elevated prayer or elevating prayer. Exactly how that works, I can't tell you more than that. That's all I found. And you grab the two tzitzit in front of you. At the time that you are saying Baruch She'amar. So that's if you're wearing a talit gadol, or if your talit, your tzitzit of your talit katan is out, you would hold those tzitzit in front of you as you say this. Ula'achar gemar Baruch She'amar, and after completing Baruch She'amar, gemar finishing Baruch She'amar, yenasha came, and nishuk is to kiss. You should kiss them. When you say when you're saying the word, it's fe amor. It's part of the text over there. There's different versions. He's correcting the version. Batishbachot with a chirik i. Okay, so it's fe and tishbachot i. Okay. Im sayam. If you finish Baruch She'amar before the Chazan does, then you answer Amen. Aval im lo siyam lo yaneh Amen. If you haven't finished, by the time he's finished, do not answer Amen. Ufashut, and it's obvious. The davka mishashi hitzchil Baruch Atah Hashem. That only from the time that he begins saying Baruch Atah Hashem, do you not answer Amen to the Chazan if you haven't finished. Demitchila, because from before you get up to the actual bracha, shivcha ba'almahu, it is simply a prayer, literally praise. Ba'alma, right, literally in the world, but it means simply. Shivcha, again, shevach, praise. V'chol ze davka, I'm just going to move this. And all of this is particularly for the idea of the Amen of Baruch She'amar Yishtabach. Aval shar Amenim, but the other Amens, Masika Magen Avraham B'Siyef Katan Yud Gimel, the Magen Avraham concludes, but this is a different concludes. This is to come to an intellectual conclusion rather than Mesayim, which means to finish something. Magen Avraham concludes, B'Siyef Katan Gimel, De mutar lanot afilu be'emtza birkat Baruch She'amar O Yishtabach. Other brachot you are able to answer even in the middle of the bracha of Baruch She'amar Yishtabach. Keivan shelo yizkiru bracha zeh b'gemara. Since they did not mention his kor, remember, they did not mention this bracha in the Gemara. Achimu omed achar tevat Baruch Atah Hashem kodem shesayim melech mulal b'tishbachot. But if you're standing after the words Baruch Atah Hashem, but before you've concluded melech mulal b'tishbachot, the king is praised with praises. Katav ha'machaya adam da'asur lo lanot. The Chayei Adam says you should not answer. The v'zeh makalkel legamret ha'bracha. Through this, you will completely mess up the bracha. In other words, if you're saying Baruch Atah Hashem Elokeinu Melech Haolam Hakel Ha'Rachaman Hamulal B'Fei Amor, there's this whole long conclusion. Magen Avraham is saying, as long as you've said the first couple of words of the conclusion, you can now answer Amen to any other bracha other than Baruch She'amar from this point, because you've kind of said a bracha. The whole conclusion of the bracha is not strictly necessary in order to answer amen to other brachot. But if you've just said Baruch Ata Hashem, and then you're saying amen to something else, then certainly you're not saying a proper bracha. The Chazan, this is saying you are allowed to answer amen to the before the Chazan has finished. But if he finishes with the Chazan, bavat achat, at the same time, simultaneously, lo ya'aneh amen, he should not answer amen. Denire, it looks, it seems, ka'one amen achar birchat tav, like he's answering amen to his own brachot. The kaimalan, we hold, the hare ze meguna, this is, it's too strong a word to say a disgrace, but it's not good, right? You don't answer amen to your own bracha. Amen is something you answer to somebody else's bracha. V'adin b'chol brachot adin kain, and so too, huadin, so too, same law. So too, all brachot, this is the law. Lavad b'yishtabach, or yahalalucha achar halel, except for yishtabach or yahalalucha after halel, that you do not say amen if you say it if you conclude at the same time as the chazan, because it looks like you are saying, looks like you're saying amen altogether. Or achar shomer amoy Yisrael la'ad, or if you've said shomer amoy Yisrael la'ad. Im siyem b'shavi mashliach tzibur. If you finish, again, simultaneously, shava literally means equally, simultaneously with the shliach tzibur, or im adam acher, or with somebody else, on amen, then you can answer amen in those three cases. Yishtabach, the bracha after halal, or shomer amoy Yisrael la'ad shortly before the Mariv Amidah. Taha harbe poskim sfir lehu, many poskim hold. In those three brachot you answer even after your own blessing. And even though anan, we, that's the same as anu, but it's Aramaic, lo nehigin, we do not have the custom, minhag, or Aramaic, hachi, like this, even though we do not have this custom, as I wrote in chapter 215, nevertheless, Bakihai governor, in this manner, in other words, in these cases, also Aramaic, Vada yesh lismoch al zeh, certainly you should rely on this, that you can answer amen together. The Maharal of Prague explains that's because when you reach the end of a cycle, there's the idea of answering amen. That's why we say amen to our bracha in Bonei Baracham of Yerushalayim. Ve'im siyem hu bracha achat, and if he finishes one bracha, as a bracha shetia, whatever bracha, but shliach tzibur bracha acheret, and shliach tzibur answers another bracha, mutar lanot amen, that you certainly can answer amen to. So there we don't have that same kind of problem. Acharav amen, answer after him amen. Velo havei hefsek bein bracha lehadavar. That is not a break, an interruption between the bracha and the matter. The psukei de zimra, because when it comes to psukei de zimra, shevachu, that is a praise. What he's asking here is, if I've said a bracha on putting up the mezuzah, and you've said a bracha on putting up the mezuzah, maybe I shouldn't answer amen, because I still need to put up my mezuzah. So I've said the bracha on Baruch Shamar, fine, you've also said it, but I need to start praising God. But that's fine, because amen, I have started praising God. V'amen shevachu, amen is a praise. V'ka'ena zimra v'lo havei hefsek, and it is like a song, the verses of song, the praises that we say, and therefore would not be a break. And if he chattered, sicha, empty words, negated words, right? Just nonsense, nothing of content. Empty words between Baruch Shamar and Hodu, efshar, it is possible that he needs to go back and say new bracha because of the break. Maybe he's taken a break. It's like, as he said, putting up the saying the bracha on the mezuzah, not putting up the mezuzah. Even one word, havei hefsek, would be a break. Venerally, it seems to me, according to this, afilu bishtika tov li zaher lechatchila. Even silence, it is good to be careful lechatchila in the first place. Shelo lishot, to not wait harbe a lot bein time between Baruch Shamar and Hodu. Similarly, I'll take a look later on. Take a look there. There we explained that our custom is not to answer amen after Yishtabach. So even though of our own bracha v'yishtabach. Even though Rabbi Yosef Karo says we do answer man after our own bracha v'yishtabach, that is not our custom. That's it for today.